channel? Why did she record her biggest hit, and the entire album without clothes on? And what movie did she make that freaked out her fans all over the world? In addition to other curiosities, stick with me and I'll tell you everything you need to know about this 80s diva.
Give me your hand, darling. Just another manic Monday.
Susanna Lee Hoffs was born on January 17, 1959 in Los Angeles, California, into a Jewish family. His parents are Tamar Simon Hoffs, film producer, and Joshua Allen Hoffs, psychoanalyst. Her mother always appreciated good music and used to play records by the Beatles and other bands for Susanna and her brothers John and Jesse to listen to when they were children. This sparked Susanna's interest in music, and she started playing the guitar in her teens. Hoffs attended Palisades High School in Pacific Palisades, Los Angeles, and graduated from high school in 1976. While in college, she worked as a production assistant and made her acting debut in the 1978 film Stony Island, which was produced and written by your mother.
My mother, Tammy Hoffs, had teamed up with Andy Davis, who had been a cinematographer. They had written this story set in Chicago on the South Side.
In 1980, Hoffs graduated from the University of California at Berkeley with a Bachelor of Arts degree. By the time he got to Berkeley, he was a fan of classic rock bands that played in huge stadiums to massive audiences. During her time at university, she attended the last Sex Pistols concert at the Winterland Ballroom and a Patti Smith concert. The exposure to punk rock was so significant that she changed her career goals from a dancer to a musician. She decided to form an all-female band, as at the time most groups were made up of men. After announcing in a newspaper looking for members for the band, she received contact from bassist Annette Zielinskis, and later joined Debbie and Vicky Peterson, drummer and guitarist, respectively. On December 9, 1980, the Colors Group was born, which began rehearsing in the garage of Susanna's house. They tried to find a new sound, something new that would set them apart from the others, apart from being an all-female group, of course. In 1981, they performed together for the first time, and soon after, they changed the band's name to the Bangs. They started playing in bars and small venues in Los Angeles. The music they made at that time was a mixture of rock with influences from the rhythms of the 60s. In 1981, the group recorded their first EP entitled Getting Out of Hand. The song did not reach the top of the charts, but it caught the attention of the label Faulty Products, which offered them a contract to make their first professional recordings. Very excited about the beginning of the band, the friends started to prepare new songs and soon they had some ready to release. However, they discovered that a group from New Jersey had already registered the name The Bangs, which prevented them from using it. Despite trying to reach an agreement, unfortunately it was not possible, and so they decided to change the name. They thought of many options, but none of them sounded good enough. It was then that a member of the technical team, named Eric Visser, suggested combining the band's current name, Bang, with that of one of his favorite bands, the Beatles. And so, the definitive name was born, the Bangles. In 1982, they released a small EP titled Bangles with their first 5 songs, but it didn't have much success. Around this time, bassist Annette Zielinskis announced to her bandmates that she was leaving the group to join another band. Despite the setbacks, Susanna did not give up and, in mid-1983, recruited new band member, bassist Michael Steele, and prepared to release their first official studio album, entitled All Over the Place, released on May 23, 2017. 1984, the album wasn't a big hit, But there were some interesting oddities. First, it attracted enough attention that Cyndi Lauper invited the band to open one of her shows. Secondly, the album caught the attention of famous singer Prince, who offered to give one of his songs to the band's new album. So the girls started to work hard on their second album. This process took almost a year. During the summer and autumn of 1985, they put the finishing touches on the album, which was released on January 2, 1986, under the title Different Light. This time, the hard work paid off and the album was a complete success. The first single released was the song Manic Monday,
Just another manic Monday.
which was written by Prince and became the biggest hit of the Bangles' career, reaching number 2 on the Billboard and UK charts. Other singles also pleased, such as If She Knew What She Wants, Walking Down Your Street, following in the great success Walk Like an Egyptian, which reached number 1 on Billboard in 1986, in addition to other countries such as the United Kingdom, Germany, Belgium, Canada, Spain, Switzerland, and Australia.
If you knew what you want, if you knew what you need, walk right down your street with love that I can't hide.
And why do your eyes follow me the way they do? The rings fall away, they're walking like an Egyptian. All the kids.
The song Walk Like an Egyptian was written by Liam Sternberg, who was curiously not part of the group. Liam composed the song in one of his crossings inside a ship, watching the people and the rocking of the vessel, unbalancing some unsuspecting passengers who were thrown from one side to the other, thus losing their balance, and so he wrote the song. Cool, don't you think? The Bangles had managed to establish themselves as a successful all-female band and had successfully taken their songs to the top of the charts. After they had fought hard, they had become very famous and were admired both for their talent and their beauty. Although all the girls were pretty, Susanna always stood out and attracted more attention, being more sought after during interviews, which sometimes caused annoyance or small arguments among the members. Of course, as with all bands, there were differences of opinion. The cool thing is that even though she was the shortest of the group, at 1.57 m tall, Susanna turned into a giant when it came to achieving her goals and dreams, as it has to be for all of us. Of course, this is just one figuratively, just to report that greatness is within us, and not physically speaking. In 1987, Hoffs starred in the film The All-Nighter, which was directed by her mother, Tamar, and also featured Joan Cusack and Pam Grier. The film was critically panned and failed at the box office. Hoffs later said, "It wasn't a great movie, but the whole experience was fantastic." Susanna's fans had a lot to thank for the film, as they got to see the beautiful and sexy singer in a way that drove more than a few people around the world crazy with her sheer beauty and poise. In October 1988, the band's third album Everything was released and, like the previous one, achieved enormous sales success, thanks to songs such as In Your Room, Be With You, I'll Set You Free,
Come alive when I'm with you. I'll do anything you want me to. What you gonna do? I think I should. I remember eyes that shine as if so hard back into.
and the worldwide smash hit Eternal Flame, which reached number 1 on the US Billboard chart on April 1, 1989, and also reached number 1 in countries such as the United Kingdom, Australia, Belgium, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, and Ireland, thus truly being a worldwide phenomenon.
Is this burning an eternal flame?
And did you enjoy this success at the time? Comment there. There are some interesting cases worth knowing. The song was written by Susanna, along with songwriters Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly. The latter had already created great songs like True Colors for Cyndi Lauper and Like a Virgin for Madonna. Susanna had mentioned to Billy that the girls in the band had gone to Elvis Presley's grave and mentioned the red flame there, which was supposed to never go out. Billy recalled a similar story told by his parents as a child and suggested that it could be turned into music. So together they sat down to compose the lyrics. In just a few hours, the song was ready, and a great classic was born. Another curious and interesting situation of this album is that, once the song Eternal Flame was ready to be recorded, a rumor emerged that David Sigerson told Susanna that he had recently produced an album for the famous singer Olivia Newton-John, and that she had a secret to making her songs better, that was to do the recordings completely naked in the studio. And that Susanna didn't believe it, but after thinking a little, she concluded that it could be true that maybe she could feel freer, with more freedom, at that moment transmit some more emotion in the songs, and that's why she decided to try to make the recording of Eternal Flame completely naked. There is no evidence that Susanna Hoffs recorded the album Everything naked. This story has been circulating the internet for some time, but there is no reliable information to back it up. In fact, the story seems to have come from a 1991 interview Susanna Hoffs gave to Rolling Stone magazine, in which she mentioned that she used to feel more comfortable singing when she was wearing little clothing. This statement has been misinterpreted by some as if she recorded the album completely naked, which is not true. Anyway, it's important to remember that, no matter how the album was recorded, the main focus will always be the music, the quality of its compositions, along with its performance, respect for the fans and the public that attend their shows. Unfortunately, even with the success, the stress between the members and the lack of communication between them often resulted in dissatisfaction with the spaces they had on each album. For example, in their great success Eternal Flame, only Susanna sings, along with the musical accompaniment of the song, even though it was necessary for the song at that moment, even though it was beautiful and simple, this did not allow any of the members to demonstrate their talent, musical. For that reason, although they were happy with the song and knew it would be a success, they were a little disappointed by what happened. Debbie Peterson married a sound engineer for the group on June 10, 1989, but neither Susanna nor Mickey attended the wedding, which shows the deterioration of their friendship at the time. A big part of the problem was that, although all the girls wrote and sang, the fact that the songs performed by Susanna were more successful, and that the majority of the public considered her the main singer of the group, and for being the favorite of the photographers, this bothered the other band members. Furthermore, Debbie Peterson believed that Susanna was overexploiting her sexy side, and that she was not as interested in music as she should have been. Susanna denied everything. In addition, the fact that Susanna was receiving a little more money as the author of several of the band's best-selling hits also caused some discomfort. In the end, what precipitated the split, according to Susanna, was exhaustion. They were tired of each other and didn't seem so happy anymore. Therefore, after the third album in September 1989, the Bangles decided to disband. What do you think about what happened? Give us your opinion. Did Susanna really exaggerate, or was she somewhat envious of the other members of the group? After the end of the band, Hoffs released a solo album titled When You're a Boy in 1991, which spawned a US hit with My Side of the Bed. In the UK, the single peaked at number 44 for just 4 weeks on the charts, while the album performed decently in Europe. The song Unconditional Love also stood out.
On my side of the bed, conditional love, love.
In 1993, Susanna married film director Jay Roach, and 2 years later, they had their first child, Jackson. 3 years later, they had their second child, Sam. In 1996, Hoffs released her second solo album called Susanna Hoffs. Although it received much critical acclaim, the album had a minor impact in the US, and the UK hit was their cover of the Lightning song All I Want, which peaked at number 33 for 2 weeks, but did not. It was a huge commercial success. Hoffs recorded a cover of the song The Look of Love for the soundtrack of the film Austin Powers, international man of mystery.
The look of love.
In which he also appeared in a scene, in addition to a cover of the song Alfie for the soundtrack of the third film Austin Powers and Goldmember, produced by her husband Jay.
What's it all about when you sort it out, Austin?
She also recorded a cover of the song We Close Our Eyes by Oingo Boingo for the soundtrack of the series Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, in which she was also responsible for the song Now and Then, from the movie of the same name released in 1995.
Close our eyes and dream, and another year's coming. Now and then, don't have to look back.
The Bangles broke up in 1989, but in the late 90s, Hoffs reconnected with her bandmates in hopes of reuniting and putting the past behind her. They recorded the single Get the Girl for the second Austin Powers movie in 1999. They later announced their decision to reunite full-time in 2000. They released their fourth album, Doll Revolution, in 2003, and then their fifth album, Sweetheart of the Sun, in 2011. Currently, Susanna Hoffs is 62 years old, married with 2 children. Founder of the Bangles, great success in the 80s as already mentioned in the story. In addition, he worked on a solo career and formed Ming T, alongside Mike Myers and Matthew Sweet. That is, she's more active than ever, showing her talent in everything she does. Her charisma conquers fans everywhere she goes, and she is also considered one of the most beautiful singers of all time, an eternal beauty with a light that never goes out. I hope you enjoyed this story. Leave your like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Stay safe everyone, see you later.